That's all I'm praying for. But no, I want to do this little mini podcast here solo by myself because I feel like I kind of needed to have a certain conversation, just kind of getting my thoughts out on a particular topic, a particular subject, and the normal layout of the podcast can kind of derail me sometimes from getting across the points that I need to get across. And for this particular point, I need to get what I need to say across to you guys. I do. And the topic is, once again, illegal immigration. Now, I know I've covered this topic on numerous times in the course of this podcast history, both with people as co-hosts, and I think I've done this in a solo show in the past, right? Which would make one wonder, okay, well then why are you doing this once again? Well, I'm doing this once again because right now, I feel like for the first time maybe in the history of my life, we actually have a president who, listen, feel how you want to feel about Donald Trump. Love him, fuck him. I don't care, personally speaking. But we have a opportunity as black people in America to really put ourselves in a great position moving forward. And I don't think we're really taking advantage of this opportunity. I'm watching conversations take place on X. I'm watching, certain Congress people, certain elected officials that happen to be black in various places. There's one black woman from New Jersey. I forget whether she's like an assembly person or whatever, who are pushing back on the ICE raids currently taking place in the U.S., where Trump is advising ICE and other federal organizations to go around and round up illegal immigrants to have them taken out of the country. And you have these black officials pushing back. And I'm like, excuse me? And since they have a loud microphone, whatever, little bit of followers that I have, and it is small. Unfortunately, right now, it is small. But I kind of owe some type of pushback to this narrative that black people should be siding with non-citizens. It's the stupidest thing you can advocate for. If you are a black elected official, if you are, Al Sharpton's ambulance chasing ass, anyone who is trying to convince you that black Americans should be on the side of non-citizens because their skin color happens to be closer of a shade to our own skin color, these people are not your friends. And most of the time, again, we've discussed this before, the black elite. I cannot stress enough how much the black elite, black people who are not elitists, the black elite, they do not have what is in your best interest in mind. Now, some of them may think that they do, right? So for some of them, for these people, it's like an accidental thing, right? They think they're doing the right thing on behalf of black people because they have this weird, racial lens that they view the world through, but they're not. And then you have others that they know that this is not in the best interest of black Americans. They don't care because they're really about their own, lining their own pockets, advancing their own political career, activist career, whatever it is. And I have to ring the bell. If you are a black American, right? Meaning, and because it's another thing we have to define again. You guys know when I'm talking about black Americans, meaning people who are the descendants of slaves who were brought over into this country. If that is you are who I am talking to right now. If you, like me, can trace your lineage all the way back to a slave, I'm talking to you. I'm not talking about some Africans that came over here a generation or two ago. God bless you. Not talking about you. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about Jamaicans. I'm not talking about no one else but black Americans. If you are a black American, it behooves you to support deportations. It behooves you to support removing people who are illegally in the country. Here is why it behooves you to support these two things. So it's really one thing. They're both the same. I said the same thing two different ways. We are not doing that well in America in comparison to other demographics in the country. I don't know how many times I have to bring up the fact that we have horrible reading grades in elementary school, in junior high schools. Horrible. A lot of us can't read. proficiently. We have horrible math scores. A lot of us cannot do math at a proficient level when we're supposed to. So if you can't read like you need to, you can't do math like you need to, it means for a good share of us, unfortunately, we will be competing for blue collar work. Right? This is work that doesn't really require for you to be that well read. It doesn't, or the capacity to read very well. It doesn't require you to have really in-depth mathematic skills. It requires you to be a decent worker, a hard worker, show up on time, and have good customer service skills. Blue collar work, right? Working for the city, working, cash register, fast food, working, even if you're trying to be a typical clerical worker, office worker, right? Yeah, you need some reading and math, but really, high school, maybe 10th grade reading and math skills for most of it, like, it doesn't require a lot. Many of these immigrants that are being deported are immigrants who are also blue collar or like a little bit below blue collar in the countries that they come from. So these are individuals that they themselves are not well read. They themselves are not good at mathematics, maybe even below African Americans. The difference, though, they have a language that they speak that is not English. Why is this relevant? It's relevant because one of the easiest ways to discriminate without discriminating is to do it on the basis of language and not on the basis of skin color or ethnicity or cultural reasons. Because those reasonings in many ways that is illegal for you to say, hey, I only want to work with people who are Indian or Puerto Rican, Dominican, but you can't do that. But you can say, hey, must be bilingual to work this job, which removes most of us. And again, I'm not mad at them. They're doing what they're supposed to do. If you're an illegal immigrant who came into the country illegally because you wanted to make life better for your family, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at us as a country for allowing all of these loopholes which we allow ourselves to be exploited by these individuals. That's what I'm really mad at. And I'm mad at black people for allowing ourselves to be used to push against the enforcement of borders and laws because we've been convinced that we should have some type of solidarity with people who are not citizens because their skin colors are a closer shade to ours. It's lunacy. These people ain't going to hire you. They ain't going to work with you. They don't want to work for you. They're not going to make themselves learn English. They're going to do what is in the best interest of themselves immediately as an individual, then what's in the best interest of their families, then of their communities, and it builds from there. Look how rapidly things have changed already in America. If you are a black person, think about this. I live in New York City, and this is not anti-Spanish or Hispanic. Again, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. The same way I gotta look out for myself. I do. I gotta look out for my people. I gotta look out for my children, future children, if I end up having children. If these individuals are not going to come to America, learn English, and get work and require that their employees speak in English, I'm putting myself at a disadvantage. And it ain't just Spanish. It's Spanish. It's Mandarin. It's Russian. It's the various languages. When you bring immigrants into your country at a high clip, a lot of the time, they don't let go of their old culture, their old languages. And we're not enforcing that, hey, if you want to stay here, you have to learn English. Many of them don't. And because corporations are so greedy, it is easier for them to hire people who speak Spanish or who are bilingual and cater to, okay, well, guess what? These customers ain't learning English, but we want their money, so we're going to go ahead and hire people who speak Spanish. And that makes us, as English-only speaking people, it puts us as a disadvantage. And then the pushback is, well, y'all can learn Spanish. Why should I learn Spanish in an English-speaking country when another solution is, hey, let's keep the Spanish people out of the country for now, or demand that they only speak or learn English if they want to do business in America, right? Or import immigrants that speak English. We got to get better at this. Just black people, please. We gotta get better at kind of thinking for ourselves. The black bourgeoisie, the black elite, these people, like you can't just assume that because they look like you, they have your best interest at heart, right? You can't assume that I have your best interest at heart. You got to take stock in your own life, look around, and say, hey, you know what? I think my life would be improved if X, Y, and Z. And that's how you kind of have to move going forward. I pray this is my last illegal immigration episode. Something in my soul tells me that this will not be. Maybe in the future, I'll just have, refer back to this episode. Because, again, I am going to push back on these people. These people need to be pushed back on. I told y'all, my parents moved down south. They're retired now. I don't have to, in the back of my mind, think about how what I say will impact my parents, whether they will keep their job. Which means hell will be dished out to these people. Asses will be kicked. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day today. See you tomorrow.